I've been buying SSDs on eBay. Now I'm all for saving a few bucks, so I'm always looking for a bargain. Crucial, this is the brand I usually use, and this is actually an empty box because that's in my machine right now. These devices go for about 120 bucks at the moment. 1 terabyte in size. They have a theoretical maximum read speed of up to 2400 megabytes per second, a theoretical maximum write speed of up to 1900 megabytes per second. Now, if you don't know what that means, don't worry, because we'll get to that. But that's not the point of the video. Now, this one, Feng Shuang, I think that's what it's called. 1 terabyte. Theoretical maximum read speed of up to 4800 megabytes per second, which is twice the speed of the Crucial. Maximum write speed up to 4200 megabytes per second. Now these are currently $110, but when I bought it, there was a discount code available. I got it for about 80 bucks. And then we have this, whatever the fuck this is. And I kid you not, that's how it came. This is 35 bucks. Supposed to be 1 terabyte. Theoretical maximum read speed of 500 megabytes per second, so quite a bit slower, but we'll get to that. This is my little test bench that we're going to plug them into. Got a GPU and another Feng Shuang. This is the device that has our operating system on it, and this is what we're going to run. And we're going to put these two in and we're going to test them, see whether they work, and see whether they compare to a more expensive and better known Crucial device. Alright, so these devices are actually nice. Come with a heatsink, nice little screwdriver. This is the authentic original screw. Nice how it comes with its own little heatsink as well. Just one interesting little note, I don't know if you can see that. But on the installation guide, it says, warning, if you hear thunder, please do not touch the product. It may cause electric shock. I'm sure that's something just lost in translation. Alright, so that's all together. We might as well use the screwdriver that come with it. Alright, one done. I hope this one doesn't blow up my motherboard. So obviously being a slower speed, this one doesn't need a heatsink. It shouldn't run as hot as that one. This disc here already has an operating system on it. So what we'll do is we'll plug this one in, we'll boot off this one, and then we'll test that one and that one. Good old 1050 Ti. Still not a bad card. Alright, so this is all ready to go. We're going to now hook up a monitor and we're going to run some tests on these drives. Alright, so here we are with the computer booted up. As you can see, hexagons are the bestagons. Alright, let's check out our discs. So the middle one here, the S101, that's the SATA drive, which we are running off. That's the one that has our operating system on. So the two new drives we put in is the Feng Shuang S660 and this SD SSDA, which has no brand. And of course, for those of you that picked up, this cheaper drive is not a NVMe drive, it's a SATA drive, but has the M.2 connection, so it fits into the M.2 slot. So that's why it's come up as dev/SDB, and the other one has come up as dev/NVMe. So we'll remember those. Jump into our terminal. Alright, so I've got a little script here that I wrote, which is basically going to go through the drive at 50 gigabyte increments and do a read test. So it'll test the drive at the start, and then at 50 gigabyte, and then at 100 gigabyte, and so on, up to 900 gigabyte, I believe I stop it at. And we'll do that for each drive. Alright, now as it stands, these devices have no data on them, they have no partitions on them, but we're basically just going to do a read test on the device, not on any particular partitions. I'm sorry for the shameless plug. Alright, and so as you can see from that, we've had pretty consistent read. Let's just fix up that error. And I'm going to run this test again, because it should have calculated an average for us, but it may not have because LSHW wasn't installed. There we go, we got an average speed of 2,295 megabytes per second. Alright, we'll leave that there. Let's open up another window. Alright, so now we're going to run this on this unknown brand, whatever device this is. I do expect this to be pulling in about 400 megabytes because of its protocol, but we shall see. And there we go, we have an average speed of 463 megabytes per second. Not bad, not bad. $35 so far. So far. And as a comparison, I'll run this on my other machine on one of my Crucial drives, and I will show you how they perform. Insert screenshot here. Alright, so it's a little bit later. I've written a script that will basically go through each of these devices, and it will jump 50 gig and write a gig. So it'll write 1 gig at the 0 gig mark, and then it will write 1 gig of data at the 50 gig mark, and then 1 gig of data at the 100 gig mark, and so on and so on. And we can measure the write speed of each of these devices. And I do have to say, I always enjoy writing something that is going to possibly destroy a device, because I haven't done that in the past, I promise. I've never accidentally wiped a machine just due to a miscalculation in my algorithm or a syntax error or something. Anyway, this is on the Fengshuang NVMe SSD. Alright, so that disc came out with an average speed of 291 megabytes per second. Not too bad. Let's try the other device. This is the unknown, unnamed, unbranded, whatever it is. And just as a side note, I will not be doing this test on the Crucial device because that device is full of data that I do not want to lose. Alright, well that took ages. And as you can see, the average speed of 18 megabytes per second as opposed to 291 megabytes per second. But we expected that, given the different interfaces. One is an NVMe and one is a SATA. And of course, SATA runs a lot slower than NVMe. Alright, so far, all we've been doing is reading garbage and writing garbage. I haven't actually written any data and seen if we can read that data once it's been written to the device. So I have a folder up here which is about 300 gigabytes worth of videos, and we're going to put that onto each device and make sure that we can read all these videos and make sure that we can access at least 300 gigabytes of space on these devices. So at this stage we're going to need to put partitions on the drives. Alright, so this is the Fengshuang drive, and the folder we're copying over is 289.6 gigabytes and consists of 2,129 files for all of you playing along at home. And while this happens, I'm going to go take my dog for a walk. Alright, so I've got up here in the top window. This is a just a display of how much disk space is being used and how much disk space is free. And as you can see, this copy has slowed to a snail pace. So I'm going to let this run overnight and we'll see how it goes. I don't expect it to finish. If it does finish, I expect that the later files are going to overwrite the earlier files, and this is why this copy is now taking so long. As I suspected, the two chips that are on the card are obviously 64 meg each, 64 gig each. So the disk has 128 gig, but the controller on it is reporting 1 terabyte. So that's why we end up with this. So it's a totally counterfeit device, totally fake, total scam. So I'll let this run overnight, and we'll come back to it in the morning and see how it goes. Alright, so it's a good, I think about 14, 15 hours since the last time I looked at this. Maybe about 16 hours since I stopped recording. And it looks like it's copied, 20 gig? If that? 15 gig? That's copying a gigabyte an hour. Alright, so the file it's on at the moment is Scammer Cusses Like Crazy, which is one of my first Scambait videos. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Hashtag shameless plug. Alright, so I'm going to cancel this copy. We'll have a look at the files. Okay, this recording doesn't seem to want to work. An error has occurred. So there we go. So this file here, I don't know exactly what it was. Some sort of recording, whether it was a Scambait or playing games or whatever. But the file is now empty. So what it's doing, and this is why it ends up going so slow, is it is actually overriding previous data that exists on the disk. So once it gets up to about 110 gigabyte, that's it. And, if the device was just 128 gig and you're able to use that, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. But because the controller reports it as being a 1 terabyte device, you end up in this situation where it starts overwriting data. So the disk is totally useless. So I'm going to pull it out and we're going to have a closer look, because there's a couple of things that I noticed on the chip that I'd like to show you. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but we'll have a look. So I'll pull the card out and we'll have a look at that. Alright, so I've tried to get a close-up photo of this device. And as you can see, I've marked the two NAND chips. Now the NAND chips are what stores your data, and the controller is what controls the device. So basically when your computer says, I want to store some information, the controller then talks to the NAND chip, says, okay, we'll store the information on this chip at this position. That's a very simplistic explanation. Alright, but looking at these NAND chips, you can see that it looks like a logo on it with an M. Now, they look like Micron chips, but I highly doubt it. I did try and search up the numbers that are on the NAND chips to actually see if I could find some specifications for it. And in my limited searches, I couldn't find anything. But the interesting thing I want to point out is the controller chip. And if you notice, the top of the chip has been etched away. And that's done to remove any identifying markings so that that chip cannot be identified. So it's a totally counterfeit device. A lot of effort's been put into this. And so these devices are designed in a way that hopefully you will not figure out you've been scammed and the return window will close. Now, obviously under the ACCC consumer law, we do have rights. So I'll be testing my rights. Because as you can see, I bought this a couple of months ago and my return window is well and truly closed. And as you can see, it was sold by a vendor by the name of Kingstar 8. And Kingstar 8 have now changed their name to StirKing. So the vendor is still there, still selling crap. So I'll keep you posted on what happens when I try and return this item 4 months after purchasing it. Ah, fucking scumbag scammers. But if you're looking on eBay and you're wondering about buying a piece of computer technology, look at the item specifics and look for a brand. And if you see unbranded computer equipment, be safe and steer clear of it. So I hope you found this video. I hope you learned something. And if you want to support my dream of buying dodgy computer equipment off eBay, hit that subscribe button. And remember, if you want to join in this conversation about scams and things that are happening in Australia, join our Discord. There's a link down below. So thanks for watching and we'll catch you in the next one. Looks like we're recording. We have GoPro there, microphone here. You can't see that. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. I've never done this before. It feels all a bit weird. I've been buying SSDs. Let's do that again.